What's up everybody, Dandy back yet again for another Core Keeper video, and we have more bosses to go over. This time around we're diving past the slimes, past the initial 4 bosses in the inner circle of the map, and moving to the 3 primary biomes that exist outside of the first circle, outside of that locked area that you start in. That's right, we are up against Azios, the Sky Titan, Amaroth, the Sea Titan, and Ra-Akar, the Sand Titan. They are the 3 major Titan bosses in the game that you're going to have to fight to progress towards the end game. So the slime bosses I went over last time are kind of sprinkled throughout these, but we're going to get right into fighting these now because they are kind of a trio of sorts. So if you remember the last video, you'll remember that I mentioned this little hologram guy right here. So he sells a variety of scanners that will show you where in the world these bosses are. Obviously, I've already found the bosses, so I'm not going to build any of these scanners, but all you do is provide the required materials, right click while holding it, let a toggleable thing, a loading bar fill up, and it will literally show you exactly where the boss is on the map. But for the specific 3 titans that we're going to fight, you need these items. So individually, they are the large, shiny, glimmering object, the expert lure, and the thumper. These items are what are going to summon the bosses that we're going to go fight to their arenas after you found the arena. So, yeah. I guess this bears no repeating, but I'm going to say it one more time. This video is going to have super spoilers. I've beaten the entire game, and I'm using in-game gear, attacks, weapons, items, etc. And I'm going through each of the bosses in order. So if you're afraid of spoilers, I would definitely click away. But beyond that, let's go hunt down Azios the Sky Titan. Alright, so I'm at my base's teleporter, and I'm getting ready to teleport out. So on the map here, you can see this biome area here, which is all grass. This is the forest biome, and this is where you will fight Azios the Sky Titan, the same biome in which, right here, we fought our purple poisonous slime friend. But this arena looks like this. It's a little bit wider because I specifically widened it for some boss battles, but this is what it will look like on the map, kind of a big circle of different material. You can obviously change the ground, but this is its natural spawn, so let's go ahead and head there. Alright, we have arrived at the arena for Azios the Sky Titan. So if you watch closely, you can see the giant shadow of the bird fly over. That means that you are in the right place. And it is dawning on me right now that I meant to build those items that lure the bosses in to take with me. So I'm going to go back to base and grab those. I'll see you back here in just a second. Alright, so here I am. I have all the materials in my inventory. I actually had them when I was explaining this earlier. But for the first one, 10 copper bars, 10 tin bars, 10 iron bars, 10 scarlet bars, 5 gold bars, and 3 ancient gemstones. So we'll go ahead and build that. For the lure, you're going to need a purple bait, 30 spicy bait, 30 sweet bait, 30 glowing bait, 30 octarine bars, and 10 ancient gemstones. Boom. And for the thumper, 50 fiber, 50 standard planks, 30 scarlet bars, 30 galaxite bars, 10 mechanical parts, and 20 ancient gemstones. Built that. So if you're curious about where to get any of these materials, things like, you know, octarine, purple bait, the mechanical things, galaxite, just let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to explain. You might have also noticed I just leveled up my crafting there. Technically, trading from things in the shop like this can level up your crafting. So just a funny little nod. If you just buy from shops a lot, you will also be training your crafting skill. But alright, I'll see you back at the boss room. Alright, we are back here in the boss room. And now we just have to fight the boss. So this boss has a couple things to watch out for and can be pretty tricky for the level. This is definitely a boss worth grinding some of your skills up for if you've just been playing casually. But yeah, so you're going to take the large, shiny, glimmering object, go into this patch of sunlight here in the middle, surrounded by feathers, bones, and bird poop, and drop it down. Bam! There's Azios the Sky Titan. Starts off immediately pretty angry that you summoned them in. Let's just go through the attacks. So this is one of the attacks you want to look out for. Basically, a lot of their attacks are lightning-based floor attacks, so you're just going to want to watch their line of movement and attack the boss as you're kind of circling around these. And then you have these crystals here. These crystals can work as reflectors for certain attacks, so you're going to want to make sure to take them out, and I'll let this happen. There you go. Oh, and it can also heal him. That's a major component, is you want to get rid of these because if he parks near them, it's going to start healing the boss. As you can see, it has a range. It's not healing the boss from all the way over here, but these crystals will provide healing if Azios gets too close. And obviously, as you've just seen, Azios will transport himself around the map. So, or herself, I guess, I'm not sure. So, ow. You're going to want to make sure to take these out with a high-level pickaxe or bombs as quickly as possible to keep the boss from healing itself too much. Otherwise, this fight will go on forever, and it will become more of an endurance test, which can be really rough for a lower-level player. So I'm going to start attacking Azios and get them into the rage state. So you can see now Azios is enraged. That means essentially, like all the other bosses, the moves are going to come faster, and they're going to teleport around more frequently too. So you can see teleported over by another one of these crystals and is getting slowly healed by it, and continuing to spam moves all over the place. So again, this fight is really just about managing both the arena and the space around you. A lot of these attacks aren't directed at you, the player. They're just happening around you. So, as you can see, there were gaps all over the floor that I filled in with these stone pathways. And, again, a lot of this fight is just managing your footing, watching the space. And you can see here, if you let these crystals build up, this boss will heal really fast. So, it's really good to keep these crystals taken care of, which can be a whole lot of work. But, again, it's something you're going to have to do to keep this boss fight from overwhelming you. So, like most bosses, if you're not ready for it, it becomes a bit of a DPS check. But we're going to go ahead and finish this one off. And boom. So this boss is going to drop two notable things. One, this big chest here, which will give you Pile of Chum. This is actually going to call a very important merchant into one of your open bedrooms, so make sure to grab that. This is just for your pets, a cool statue, which you know you love, some armor, and some gear. These are really good. Azios' dash feather is actually a version of this teleport. It's just a dash that gives you a speed boost, but you can use it more frequently. So it's a pretty cool item, but I prefer my dash. But the second thing it's going to drop is this blue orb you can kind of see right there. So that is actually the soul of this titan. The reason we're hunting these titans is to collect their souls and help the core regain its power. So you'll see a souls menu here in which I already have all of them, and these three are the ones we're talking about today. But the soul of Azios will get you 10% chance to spawn a thunder beam on melee critical hits. So very, very handy. You can call down thunder with a melee crit. Unfortunately, this zap weapon I'm using counts as a melee weapon. So, because it deals 84 to 102 physical damage melee and is the fastest attacking weapon in the game. So very good for helping apply additional damage while fighting bosses. But you'll automatically gather this by standing near it or walking kind of in the direction of it if you do not have the soul already. But I do, so it's just going to stay floating there for a while until this arena resets. So very, very cool. Now that we've killed that boss, though, we are on to our second boss in order of difficulty, Amaroth the Sea Titan. So let's head that way. Alright, so I'm taking one pit stop on the way to Amaroth. So to get this boss to appear in its arena, you are going to need a couple things. First of all, the only things you're going to need to make the boss appear are the expert lure, which we've already built, and some kind of fishing rod, which I could not for the life of me find in my base, so I came back to craft a shiny solarite one. I think you can do it with almost any fishing rod, like most of the lower level ones, but when you're at the end of the game, craft stuff from the end of the game. The second thing that I would recommend, which I already have, is a boat of some kind. So I have the speeder, and as you can see, I believe it's right here, there is a boat building table that has a regular boat and a speeder, so traveling fast. And while you don't need these for the boss, and I'll explain that in a minute, they are very helpful. Alright, let's finish the travel to the boss room. Alright, sorry, it took me a minute to find this as I had never actually marked it, so let's do my due diligence real quick and go ahead and add a little skull mark right there. But, what this is... Oh, I'm getting murdered by a crab. Love crabs. This is Amaroth the Sea Titan's lair. This one is a little harder to find because it is in the middle of the ocean biome, one of the three major biomes in the late game, which is mostly water, strewn with small islands. This is where we came a while ago to fight the slime boss, which is located here, notable by all the blue slime everywhere. But the Sea Titan is located in a big open pool of water that is surrounded by a bunch of rock, and it looks a little something like this. So when you come in here, you'll see a bunch of these really big glowing ripples. I think there's 3 or 4. Yeah, okay, 5. And then all of these different little stone areas here. Now, as you've noticed, I've laid out a ton of bridges here. When I first fought this boss, I didn't want to blow my materials on building boats, but I had enough to make 1,000,000 stone bridges, so I laid this place out with stone bridges to help. And as you can see, I continue to carry a ton of stone bridges with me, basically all the time anyway, because they are incredibly useful for bridging gaps, or, you know, if you're trying to set up a boss arena that has a bunch of holes in it, just fill it with these. Bosses do not very commonly destroy floor tiles, so it's a great way to set up an arena to be more traversable. So that's kind of how I laid this out. So to summon this boss in, I think this should be plenty enough, especially with the power I have. You're going to actually have to take this expert lure and equip it in your offhand. So currently my rift lens, my teleport item, so I can't teleport anymore, but I do have the lure equipped. So now I will take this fishing rod I have and just cast it right into the water here. I'm going to cast it a little better than that. Bam! Alright, it's touching the ripple, so we should be fine. Oh, I hit the wrong button. I don't fish a lot in this game, as you might have picked up on. So once you get the exclamation point, you reel it in, and boom, the boss shows up. So it eats your expert lure, let it be known, but this is Amarat the Sea Titan. So he's going to move between all of these different ripple areas, and you're going to undergo a lot of attacks. So the first of which you'll notice are giant tornadoes that sweep up everything around you and deal damage, not specifically targeted at you, but again, it's the type of thing you have to watch your footing for. And in his arena, where it's mostly water, that's where the bridge tactic gets a little rough. You can see also that he has tentacles spawning to destroy the floor tiles, making the arena even smaller and harder to deal with. So again, having a boat for this is much preferable because it turns the entire arena into a walkable space as compared to just the stuff you can build bridges on. But definitely possible with the bridges. So for the most part, you're going to be dodging tornadoes and the tentacles that he spawns that pop up out of the ground, and whittling his health down to get him to low health like with the other bosses. So I am getting destroyed right now, so let's go ahead and laser him a whole bunch. As you can see, much tankier. Definitely an upgrade from the previous boss, so it's going to take a lot of effort to make sure you kill this boss, and a lot of playing it safe and attempting to sustain. So I'm going to try to get him, there we go, to the enraged state. So in the enraged state, you're going to see a lot of similar behavior that you've seen before. He's going to move more quickly. If he has an attack, it's going to be more ferocious, whether that's faster moving or more tornadoes. Spawning additional ones to go other directions, or creating more tentacles per tentacle spawn. Overall, the boss is just faster, angrier, and more deadly. So this happens at around 1/3 of his normal health, or 2/3 health missing. So you just gotta watch out for that and be ready to buckle in, because as with these boss fights, it's not over till it's over, and it always gets worse before it gets better. So now that we've talked about most of the mechanics, I'm gonna go ahead and laser through him. And goodbye, Amarat the Sea Titan. You are a worthy foe, but now you are slain. He does drop his chest in the water, so you're definitely going to want to make sure that you have the resources to get over to that. But if you're not able to, you can always break it and try to vacuum the items up. But as per usual, there's a lot of drops you'd expect. This one's kind of cool, Amarat's Beak. It's actually an offhand item that just gives you a ton of physical melee damage, so for the late game, once you get the Stormbringer, which is very end of the game, something like this would be insane, actually, because my teleport is great for positioning and movement, but it just increases my magic damage. So having something that gives you almost 30% just raw physical melee damage is really, really good, and definitely a lucky roll. Beyond that, most everything else is standard. You can take it, you can leave it, it doesn't matter. But then you will also see the soul. This will be the second of the 3 souls you collect in this trio of titans, and this one will provide you with a 3% chance on range hit to spawn a tornado. So those tornadoes that he was throwing around can be spawned by you and sent at your enemies. Yet again, we have another boss defeated though, and we are moving on to the final of the 3 Titan bosses that I'm covering in this video. That would be Ra-Akar, the Sand Titan. I'll see y'all in his arena. Alright, welcome to the arena of Ra-Akar, the Sand Titan. So this is going to take place in the 3rd and final biome of the outer areas here, the desert biome. Each biome has a variety of different things in it. As you can see, there's a lava area here, which we talked about in the slime video, and that's just a subset of the sand biome, and there's a variety. One of the only special ones being this blue space that I'm sure I'll talk about later, which is a crystalline cavern, and those can spawn in any biome, and usually there are several of them, but that's for another day. So here is this boss room. On the map, you can see it is a cavernous pit surrounding a kind of boxed off room. So pretty noticeable when you find it. It has this big slab out in front. As you might can tell, I put this here because we had an extra one and it was just easier. I needed to grind this boss for something. But then you enter, and it's like most of the rest of the desert. You will find, that's not the weapon I want. You will find a whole bunch of sand, these blue pillars or statues. My pet, fuck 22. And then it's just a big empty sand room. So not as many notifying markers outside of this big slate out front, but you'll know when you find it. So when you're ready to fight this boss, you're going to want to go into your inventory and equip the thumper onto your toolbar, put it in your hand, and simply place it on the ground to kick off the festivities. If you're a fan of Dune, then this is a big shout out to you and the Dune heads out there. So the Lisan al-Gaib is with you. He can see and he is watching. So this is Ra-Akar, Sand Titan. Giant stinky scarab beetle that can become completely immune to damage when burrowed underground like that, and is only damageable when he pokes his little noodle up as such. His attacks are varied, but mostly you'll have two types. Those big sand circles you saw, and then these things. And these things fuck. Like, you can see, I am a pretty high level, and they are torturing me. I am end of the game material. I've beaten every boss, and those projectiles do work. His other move is that he will summon in a bunch of these beetles that try to headbutt you and then inevitably explode. So yeah, with these projectiles, they track you incredibly well. I very much recommend carrying with you some kind of material that you can place down. So let's say that I go around here and get myself a couple walls. The next time he goes to use that move, there you go. What I recommend doing is just building a little wall in front of yourself and letting all of these things tink into the wall. He will eventually come and destroy your wall, but it protects you from them, and it's the only guaranteed way to make sure you're safe. So I'm going to go ahead and get this boss into his enraged state, because that can take a while. So even one of them you can do it with, you just got to be a little careful. And you'll have to make sure you have a bunch of them. I just picked those up while I was in here, and as you can see, I'm already out, because he completely destroys them when he runs into them. So, alright, now he's in his enraged state, and you'll see, again, a lot of what you've seen with other bosses. He's going to use the same moves he always uses, but faster and more angry. So, more covered in red, and oftentimes it'll spawn more of whatever the projectile or thing is that it's summoning. So, like with these big sand explosions. But again, it's all the same moves you've seen earlier. Oh, there's that one. Run over here, break a wall, put it down, try to line myself up right. And boom, you don't have to worry about the projectiles. These guys can be really hard in a DPS check, but do remember about those bugs that they will blow themselves up once you damage them enough. So you can get them to that point and then just run away and let them kind of blow themselves up. So I'm going to try to finish this boss off while he's doing this really long move. And there he goes. Ra-Akar has been slain. Boop. So Ra-Akar, like his fellows, drops a big ol' metal chest with blue lions and the boss soul. The chest itself can have a variety of things. The giant bug brain is actually a unique crafting item you very much need, so make sure you take that giant bug brain. But beyond that, you'll see some armor, occasionally some gear, cool magic sword that costs mana to swing, but nothing crazy. There's a variety of good boss drops, but again, the only thing you really want to make sure you take is this giant bug brain, because it helps build you towards the items you need to fight the last couple bosses in the game. So very important for progression. And then beyond that, you will see the Soul of Ra-Akar, which provides you a lovely 5% chance on melee or range hit to spawn an ancient projectile that follows the hit target and deals damage. So those scary triangles he was firing at us that we were creating walls to hide behind, you will be firing those off. In fact, you might have even seen me fire off a couple of them during that boss fight while hitting him with this weapon. So very cool additional damage. And between the 3 titans that we have slain currently, 3 fun effects that give you a chance at dealing more damage and help you fight the later bosses. So all very good stuff. Either way, before we head back to the base, I figure let's go ahead and call it time. We've killed the 3 major titans, the sky, the sea, and the sand titans in this video. And there are only about 5 bosses remaining, actually 6. There are the 3 Leviathan head titans, which will come next. there is the final boss in the game, and then 2 little additional bosses as well that are very end game that don't fall under any of the other categories. So I'll be excited to hop into those videos soon, but for now, this has been a guide with showcasing explanations and tactics for how to beat the first 3 Titans in Core Keeper. Thank you so much for watching to this point. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to answer or make additional videos explaining things if you need me to. Beyond that, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later, fam. See ya.